transparency and communication is very important. As the government, we're there to serve the people, and so we want to make sure that as we move forward with this development that we definitely take into consideration the resident and business needs of those that live in Westchester.
Westchester Township Administrator Lisa Brown, who you have been administrating things in Westchester Township for a few years now.
Yeah, I've been the administrator for about a year and a half, but I have been in Westchester. I just finished up 8 years.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Working your way up is interesting, and I'm curious to know things that you've learned over time by being in that position and working your way up through the township. But the big focus that I want to drill in on here is this Mill Creek development that Westchester bought in October of last year, 75 acres along I-75, which, congratulations, that's great branding as far as brand synergy
great
goes.
Visibility.
That's an area that other private developers tried to work with for like years. It didn't work out, and you guys are stepping into leadership on this. How is that going?
That's been going very well so far. Right now we're still just in some initial planning for the project. We've done an initial market study and have this very grandiose vision. And so now we're in the process of market testing that vision to understand what the public investment may look like on the site, and then what can actually be produced on the property that will get that ROI for the community, but also provide a benefit beyond just the financial benefits.
Yeah, it's interesting that you guys are the ones that are, taking the reins on this. It was an $18 million purchase?
$18.3 million, yes.
Why is it that all the years of trying before that private developers couldn't make that happen themselves?
So the biggest driver to have us purchase the property is that throughout the township and throughout the region, we're seeing a lot of the development move towards things that aren't the highest producing uses. So you're looking at a lot of warehousing, a lot of logistics you have,
Sure.
a lot of data centers, things like that. And those just aren't things that are the highest value for the community, especially for a property that's so visible from I-75 that has tens of thousands of cars going through there a day. And so the township decided that the only way that we were going to get something better than what the market was going to provide is if we orchestrated it ourselves.
Wow. So listening to what people in the community wanted, we don't want a big warehouse industrial park kind of thing. I know that there was some reporting previously about, one of the developers, did they want to put a big speedway truck stop there?
Yes. Yeah. So if we let the market go, we'd end up with probably some logistics and warehousing, some very large, probably multifamily apartment complexes, and some strip centers and a gas station. The last owner that held the property, the only thing that they could bring in was a large truck stop style gas station, and that was kind of the ultimate trigger to have us move forward. Everything else had been these lower value, market driven properties, but when we knew that, the only thing that we're going to get is a gas station, we knew it was time that we had to take the reins.
Wow. So, that was the turning point, the idea that this truck stop was a part of the plan. And those were plans that private developers were working with, even though so much of the other part of the area has really grown in a different direction.
Yes, but the market is the market.
Yeah.
So there's a difference in the values that the public sector brings and the private sector brings to a project. Nothing wrong with it, but the private sector is very focused on timing, on ROI, on financial return. But from the public side, our job is to protect the common good. That's why we have government, is to protect the commons and make sure that we're providing the ultimate benefit to the community. So by the township coming in and taking over development of this project, we're able to blend the public and private values together. We need to focus on doing this development in a way that's fiscally responsible, and we need to hit a certain ROI to make the development viable. But we also know that our community is asking for more than that. asking for more than the financial return. We need to provide an area for people to live and to play and to come and gather, and that's what we're able to accomplish through our public sector values.
Wow. So yeah, okay. So in terms of what this area is, what are the challenges you guys are dealing with in it? The Mill Creek is right there. That's got to be a little bit of a concern.
Yes, that's definitely the biggest concern is the Mill Creek itself. The Mill Creek has been under a period of kind of revolution over the last decade or so.
That's a nice way of saying it.
It is now in a very healthy condition, and luckily here in Westchester, we are the part of the headwaters of the Mill Creek. But this sector of the Mill Creek, it has had mostly erosion issues. There isn't any what I'd call environmental contamination. It's more that it has, just because of the way, erosion and natural conditions work, it isn't exactly flowing appropriately.
Meaning that flooding's a concern.
Meaning that flooding is a consideration in that area and downstream. So by the township purchasing the property, we are going to be able to further revitalize the Mill Creek area and to provide some passive recreation that wouldn't otherwise be able to be accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, incorporating like green space and stuff can be sort of maybe more part of the plan than it would be otherwise.
That's exactly it. That's one of the big benefits. Our community is concerned with smart growth and is concerned with preserving the green space that we have available. As you had said earlier, the growth in Westchester over the last 3 decades has been exponential. Yeah. And the residents are ready for that to slow down and to focus on something else, to focus on preserving what's left. And so by the township taking over the development, we're able to do that. We can create a large green space along the Mill Creek with some trails and connectivity, not only between within that quadrant of the 75 interchange, but also potentially across the street to some other developments that could use a little bit of revitalization itself.
Great, yeah, and so I know we've got some development renderings and some ideas that you guys have come up with so far. You're talking about a lot of potential investment in this $18 million piece of property. What are you looking at return-wise?
So that is what we are in the process of calculating at this time. So the renderings that we have so far is if everything worked and we were in a perfect world, this is what we would love to provide to the community. Yeah. However, we do understand that all of those things come at a cost, and that the community, while it expects investment in green space and in these other cultural amenities, they do expect financial responsibility. So
that walk is cool.
The bridge, perfect world, the bridge would be amazing. That would be definitely an essential feature and different than anything that's provided regionally. But we have to make sure that what's on the paper right now is actually a viable option. So
here's the way some of the things are breaking down. Are we talking about a big central anchor tenant for it and then building up around there, or is it, what is the plan?
So again, perfect world, we would like to create, we have what we call the east side of the development and the west side of the development. Okay. West side of the development we see mostly focused on creating a potential kind of downtown space, but also what we are referring to as an innovation life cycle. If everything works out perfectly, we would love to provide space such as like shared working space for those entrepreneurs, those kind of startups, up to maybe some traditional office, and then to have an anchor like research and development tenant that would be focused on probably medical or advanced manufacturing, which would be compatible then with other uses that we have in the township.
Yeah, right. Everything sort of needs to fit together and be, if not full-blown complementary, at least not be, too much of a threat to each other.
Yes, but complementary, that is a good way, is that it might not be exactly the same industries, but things that will complement each other and that will complement other industries that we already have located within the township.
Yeah, this is a lot of work. This is a really big undertaking that you guys have, and the idea that there's community involvement too. You want to you're following what the will of the people is on this. I hope that you're getting good feedback from folks in Westchester.
Yes, we definitely have been getting a lot of good comments. For me and for our organization, our trustees, transparency and communication is very important. As the government, we're there to serve the people. And so we want to make sure that as we move forward with this development, that we definitely take into consideration the resident and business needs of those that live in Westchester.
Yeah. So in terms of what are next steps right now? The land has been purchased, and you said you're reaching out to the community. We don't have shovels in the ground anytime soon.
No. So right now we're undertaking this, like I said, like market testing process, which will involve some discussions with the community about what they would like to see, as well as doing a deeper dive into the market analysis and determining where that ROI point is. And so that will be completed by the end of 2026, very beginning of 2027. And I anticipate at this point by June of 2027 that we'll be able to take a bid package out to the development community to look for the correct partners to actually develop this project for us.
Yeah, because that's another step. Like the idea that private development, for whatever reason, wasn't able to make things work on their own. Now you guys own the land, but you're still going to need to reach out to development outfits and say, hey, this is what we want. What can you do within that framework, right?
Yes, our intent is not to develop it ourselves. It is to find the correct partners that will help us to realize our vision. In Westchester, it's very important for us to find partners and to develop long-term partnerships so that we can ensure that both the private and the public can work together to benefit the public and to benefit the community in the best way possible.
Has there been any early rumblings from any possible partners of things looking optimistic?
Yes, there actually has been some significant interest so far. We have not engaged with developers directly, but we are working with a consultant to help us develop the bid package and everything. And there's already been significant interest from the development community reaching out to our consultant to just say, hey, we're here. If you need something, please reach out.
Thinking of like setting up like a Westchester speed dating night where you get everybody in a room and you get a couple minutes per table. That's a good call.
That's probably a good way to go about it.
Well, that's great. Lisa Brown is the Township Administrator for Westchester Township. We are going to take a break. We got more with her on these big plans for a stretch of land along I-75 in an area that is seeing tremendous growth here in Cincinnati. Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley, joined by the Township Administrator for Westchester, Lisa Brown. Lisa, as the Township Administrator, which is not exactly the flashiest title from the outside looking in, but I mean, because of the way Westchester Township is set up, there's the Board of Trustees, and then there's you. Yes. You're the executive. You're the CEO of Westchester.
Yes,
more or less.
Yes. I mean, we are a government. We have an elected board, but we run our structure very much like a private sector organization. We have the elected board of trustees who's responsible for setting those high-level policy expectations, who are weighing in and providing information about what the community expects. And then it's my job to carry out those operational needs. I talk about myself as I'm the Chief Executive Officer, the CEO of Westchester Township. We very much run like a business. That, of course, there are politics and there's policies, decisions that go into how our operations are structured. But the expectations from the board is that I am very much CEO-minded, that I am profit-centered, that I am efficiency and effectiveness focused, and that I carry out my job in the best way possible to make sure that we have the ultimate benefit for the community. I don't get involved in politics. That's not part of my role. My role is to be the chief executive and to ensure the operational decision making aligns with community expectations and high level policy. Yeah,
well, and even then, the idea that maybe if things were a little more specifically business oriented, just looking at whoever's writing the biggest check for this development on the land there by 75, that's maybe an easier decision than, hey, we've got an obligation to people that live in this area to develop some green space and do some things with this area rather than just put in something that whoever the biggest check is getting written.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I say, run like a business, be profit-centered, but it does have to pull in those public sector ideals, which is protecting the commons, doing what is best for the community. So my job can be a little interesting at times to try to blend public and private together, but at the end of the day, that is what's best for the community.
So how did you get into government work? I know that you were the assistant, we're going to have a little bit of an office gag here, the assistant to the city manager, or maybe the assistant city manager in Clayton, Ohio, which is just a little bit west of Dayton. Exactly. But what is it that got you into government work in the first place?
I never anticipated going into government. There's a lot of people that go to college and, they do poli-sci or they do something like that. Never in my life did I want to do that. I actually started out, I wanted to be a criminal profiler. I have a degree in psychology, and that's what I wanted to do. And then I eventually ended up in government because I went back to get my master's, actually to do nonprofit work, and I took an urban planning class where you just learn about cities and how they're developed and why they develop in the way that they do. And I just fell in love with the idea, and I completely changed my focus. And I was about 75% of the way through grad school, and I received a job at City of Clayton. I was the assistant to the city manager, which is kind of like a not quite executive assistant. It's like executive assistant plus. You have some responsibilities. I oversaw HR. I ran a golf course and banquet facility. And then I came to Westchester.
That's a lot of different things.
It's a lot of different things. I did all the marketing, like a lot of stuff, a lot of hats. Then I came to Westchester in 2018. So it's been just over, it was actually July 2nd was my anniversary. So 8 years. Thank you. And came in to do HR, union negotiations, things like that. And my responsibilities just kind of snowballed from there, doing a little bit of everything. There wasn't really anything going on that I didn't have my hands in. And I couched my position as like chief operating officer. I was responsible for overseeing and maintaining all internal operations and ensuring that they match with external policy.
But you specifically talked about going back for your master's, and you're taking this urban planning course, and that's when your sort of trajectory changed. But you weren't interested in like running for office. You weren't trying to get into government as an office holder. You were a nuts and bolts, get something done. Yes.
Yes. Politics don't appeal to me because it's just a different part of the same coin. The politics is a lot of ensuring that you have these external relationships with the community and that you are understanding kind of the general environment that you're working in. But then in my position as the administrator, as the chief executive, is that I have to operationalize all of that. And that is where my strengths and my interests lie, in taking those complex issues that come out of the political arena, distilling those down and turning them into something that you can actually act on.
Yeah. And then the law, there was a, University of Dayton Law School element too. Did this tie into your profile days? I got to know more about this criminal profile thing.
Criminal profiling is, I love to read. I'm a voracious reader, and part of my reading repertoire is like murder mysteries and things like that. And I just love the human mind, the complexities of it. And
sometimes the dark places that human mind can go.
I mean, it does kind of tie into the government work. So
okay. Lisa, everybody, let's go.
But the law school thing was because as part of my assistant administrator duties, chief operating officer duties, was that I managed our relationship with our outside counsel. And I just started doing more legal work kind of under their review. And I decided I wanted to go to law school. The township supported that. and I actually take the bar 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So
Well, you should be at home studying
I
right now.
should be at home studying, but this life does not afford a lot of study time. So
Well, so, and speaking of learning then, so you're currently going back to school to pass the bar, and that's going to, I assume, I mean, part of the reason that the township is helping to pay for that is that helps
Yes.
make you better at your job.
Absolutely.
Going from your time in Clayton to being the assistant here in Westchester Township to now being the township administrator here, what are like a couple of the things that you have learned that you incorporate into the way that you handle administrative things now? Maybe stuff that people wouldn't realize from the outside looking in.
I think that in any of those roles, the biggest thing that ties all that together is people. You have to know how to create strong relationships with the people around you, whether that's with the broader community, with the businesses that you have to work with, or with your individual employees. The human connection is just so important and pervasive in everything we do. We're all human. Everything you do is a human problem. And another thing is that it's really important to understand money and math.
Cool.
A lot of people don't. That's just not something we learn a lot in our society, is money and how money works and how to invest it and how to ensure longevity of your financial resources. And through all of my time in government, that's something that I've really focused on, is just ensuring that I have a really strong background in finances and accounting, public accounting specifically, because it's a very different creature than private accounting. And I don't think that's something that people think about when they think about government. You know, you think about policy, you think about parks, you think about police, fire, all that. But it all comes down to finances and using those responsibly and asking as little as possible from your residents. And so if you're going to ask as little as possible, you have to make sure that you understand the money, where it comes from, and how it can be used wisely.
How much leeway do you have in terms of being the township administrator and, you know, sort of charting your own decisions? I mean, CEO is the title we were throwing around here on this, but you also do answer to the board of trustees. That's a group of people that can change depending on the way elections go, and you've got to sort of know how to navigate different personalities in all that, so then they can take messaging back to the voters and say, hey, this is what we're doing. That's a lot of different sort of personalities and relationships to have to juggle.
And it is one of the hardest parts of the job. I mean, the job just comes back to people. You have to, and so my overarching kind of theory for my life, professionally and personally, is to always do the right thing for the right reason. Because through that, you build trust, you build relationships. People know they can count on you. And when they know they can count on you, then they trust your decisions and they allow you to move forward in a more free manner, so that you can engage and do the things that are necessary to be productive and to do what's best for the community. So we have had some recent changeover in the Board of Trustees. We had a new trustee that came on in January. And because of all of the structures that the board and I have put in place over time, we were able to seamlessly integrate the new member of the board and get them up to speed, and they could understand that we are doing the right thing for the community, that we are thoughtful when we do things, and that they can trust me and the other board members to do what's best for the community, even when hard decisions come up.
Lisa Brown is the township administrator for Westchester Township, getting things done. They've spent $18 million on a tract of land right around I-75 that hasn't been touched yet. The next step in years now of development in that area, and clearly more to come. Lisa, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jack.